What is going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
And I'm Pat.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast.
Okay, welcome to episode 200 of Reminiscent, featuring Tom and Pat. We are here, as always, for 200 episodes. We've done this 200 times. Not much to celebrate at all. So we are just going to put... No, just kidding. Welcome. I guess we're doing this now for the next few just to test these out. But welcome all of our reminisces, all of our reminephews, and checks notes, the Reminisce Central Intelligence Agency. We're just taking these for a ride. I don't know how long that was going to stick around, but I love the creativity. There are 7 more that are mostly household items, and there's a few weirder ones in there as well. But I think reminisces and reminephews will stick around for a bit. Tom, how are you, my guy?
I'm doing okay.
My guy is one of those things where I started, people joke about on Twitter about saying bro ironically, and then they just say it. I started saying it, and now I just refer to you like that on the show all the time, and now there's audio proof that it's something I do frequently, and I'm having a crisis about it in the moment, but the question stands. How are you?
I'm good. It feels a little weird. We're doing this in person. We're sitting across the room, roughly 6 feet apart, and
I helped you move. We strapped the masks on. You had moving gloves ready.
Oh yeah.
You're in your new home here in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
It was nice. I drove. The sun set at like 3 p.m. and I definitely couldn't even see the hills or mountains as I drove in. So lovely scenery. Kind of a rainy day here today, but met his dog, his lovely wife. They are here. We are living in the same state. And we are here to, I think what we want to do ultimately with this is we had a cabin hiking distancy weekend a couple weeks ago with our buddy Zach, where we wrote some music. We were going to record a couple podcast episodes, but we just had fun instead and didn't really want to work because it was kind of a belated birthday, happy Tom, near fatherhood kind of weekend. And that was nice. But we are here to reflect what we thought we were going to do with Zach, but I think we're going to kind of go through the day like loosely top 10 memories from our high school band to look back at what started the love of music. I think, do you want to touch on quickly about how for the first 100 episodes of the show, this was 100% not even a music podcast, even though it kind of was.
Yeah.
I remember episode 11, we were like, let's talk about Blink-182, all of Blink-182.
No,
just
actually,
one episode.
Episode 11 was Joanne's rules for living a fulfilling life. We've lived through some stuff on this show.
Yes. Losing family members, marriages. You're about to be a pop.
Yeah. Yeah. So
lots of moves. 10-year high school, 10-year high school reunion, which that was the first episode we had done in person. And we were so nervous, we just let our buddy Zach chew actually just snacks into the microphone for an extended period of time. I think we were literally just nervous. We just threw out 40 minutes of audio because we
20
we're just mumbling through just an awful, not even like a fun hidden lost episode way. It's just like we don't even want to be doing this. But anyway, so
we're in this small bedroom with boxes absolutely everywhere, a mattress up against the wall, hoping it'll offer some kind of sound absorption. It's not the most comfortable environment, but also the fact that we've never even like seen each other when we record. So I'm kind of like sitting at an angle looking at the wall as I'm talking because it's what I'm used to. But yeah, I did quickly just like want to reflect 5 minutes tops on the show where it's come from.
Give me 3. Cut it.
I'll give you
Keep
3.
It tight,
okay.
Tom.
So initially, Reminiscent started because I wanted to start a podcast network. I thought the best way to learn was to do it, just to do it. And send it, bruh. So
you made me download Slack, you monster.
I made you download Slack and probably Trello and all this Quip.
Quip.
Remember Quip? That was before. I didn't realize
you were fresh off of like 19 audiobooks of how to like the 5-minute manager, the habits of highly effective people.
Oh yeah.
So the razor thin startup or whatever the fuck it's called. Walking on the razor's edge of how to be a startup on the edge as well. I think it's a book.
So I really wanted to start the network, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to practice with the show. Maybe I'll do like 10 episodes with Pat.
7 minutes in heaven with my manager. That was a little out of the genre, I thought, but
so it doesn't fit the current climate.
No.
Yeah. So we were just gonna do practice, and the first 100 episodes were just us rambling about anything
Not
that came to our
doing
minds.
well.
Not just floundering, but loving every minute of it. And we noticed that any episodes that were like music related had way more downloads, and we're like, you know what, we're not doing a good job. Maybe we should just lean into it, rebrand to a podcast at episode 100. And we kind of found a way to tie in
Paramore.
But and yeah, it was a Paramore episode.
But that was it. That was like, let's just do a Paramore podcast.
We still didn't know. We still don't know what we're doing, but yeah, I mean, we found a way, I thought, to like nicely kind of tie in the diary aspect of the show before into music, and I think people have enjoyed like reliving their own experiences with these songs.
How poorly things went for us specifically.
So
not always poorly.
I'm extremely proud of the show's trajectory. It took us so long to get to where we are now. We did a lot of fake meditation bits that honestly I would love to bring back.
I would like to bring it back to with those. There was a phase where we were trying to basically do radio, I guess, and just like come up with segments or bits or try to like, I think I had recently watched the Howard Stern's first movie and was like, yeah, we got to get creative. We got to do bits. We got to be zany, dude. And we tried to do this like fake Canadian radio thing where we talked in British accents. It was called Oh Canada, which I thought was hilarious, but it wasn't.
No one liked
I don't know. You
it.
tell us.
We loved it.
I loved it. And the meditation bits were hilarious because we'd relax and tell people to take a shot of wheatgrass, and they were feeling zen. And then we'd always die at the end of the bit, which I thought was fucking funny. The thing is, we never tried to improve on or change either of those. We just found two very obscure, weird things to do and did them for like a year
or two. Right.
Yeah, but then we reached out to some buds, and they were like, I don't like it. Which I think I tried to do a full O Canada episode with Tom where we just talked about Canadian bands in the accents.
Terrible.
I think you've gotten more comfortable with improvising and things like that.
I fake it better.
Well, I mean, I know you like to say that, but we've gotten better. The give and take has gotten better. We've gotten more comfortable working together and things like that. But what about, so like when we decided to go to the music road, we did an Erie, PA Scene Queens episode. We talk about the Hangout a lot. We talk about Forward Hall a lot. What we wanted to do for 200 was go super roots and loosely do a top 10 Foreign Apart memories, which, can we go memory 10, the mistake of naming it that?
Yeah.
I think Tim and Eric Adult Swim had just kind of branded as this weird zany alt humor thing, and we just whiffed on trying to replicate that. Maybe like, yeah, a golf score, it'll be so strange. But it's more of an example that drove, like when Tim and Eric met at Temple, I think, and he was like, hey, what should I name my band? And he was like, TGIF, as a joke. And they thought how on the nose lame that was, launched their career into anti-comedy. And instead of being anti-comedy, Foreign Apart was
the butt of every
example,
joke.
the TGIF example. But we all thought it was funny in the moment because we didn't really care. But then it stuck for no reason.
And there was this group of kids that made fun of us by having a fake band and calling it Double Bogey on the Ninth Green or something.
I know, which I thought was actually kind of a sweet name for like a ska band or something. Which weird though. It's just like, that's a golf thing too, but that one sounds cooler.
Well, yeah, huge mistake. No one can remember whose idea it actually was to be Foreign Apart, but we rode with it for so long and everyone made fun of us, but it kind of made us feel like, hey man, it's so punk rock to not even care. Like, we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely not a great name. But, and you know, the part of the problem was a lot of people didn't take us seriously because the name sucked. And then in 2012, we recorded a lot of our old music, and someone was like, this isn't the music you played back in high school, is it? And we're like, yeah. They're like, oh, this is actually pretty good. But like, no one even gave us a chance. Like, the theme music for this show is called Penn State '08. Our buddy Zach wrote it in 2008 when I was probably about to turn
I had just
17.
gone on a college visit.
Right.
Let's call this Memory 9.
Memory 9, yeah.
Zach wrote a song about a college visit I had, and he was living vicariously. I don't know how many details we should say. Listen to the song. It'll be in the show notes, maybe? Or is that too difficult?
Yeah, no, there's like an old bad mix. I think for the theme music, I remixed it back in 2016.
Because some of you asked on Twitter legit, like, yo, what is
Right.
that? And we were like, it's us. Darlings, it's us. Like, so touched.
It was us the whole yeah.
Yeah,
So
but as long as you don't ask what the band name was, we can tell you. It was our-
so, but I didn't remix the whole song. I only remixed the parts for the intro and outro. So like the versions that are still out there are not the same quality. It's like me in 2011 still trying to figure out how to make a snare drum sound decent. Still haven't really nailed that yet.
I'll say this, Memory 9B, Zach didn't need to use us as source material for any other songs. He went through a breakup at the
Oh
perfect moment.
God.
Just poor guy, poor boy, went through just a good old fashioned high school gut punch breakup, and that spawned a legitimately. When we were laying those songs back down in DC when you were there for post college work life, I guess young adulthood, young 20s, I hadn't realized how crunchy and angsty a lot of that stuff was. A little screamy, not a ton, but like there was definitely an edge. And Zach, there was an output there. I don't know. He's definitely switched gears to be more of a folky. I don't know. He's gone probably the trajectory most of those old scene dudes, kind of the City in Color route. We'll tease to next week's Alexis on Fire episode. But there was definitely an output that needed to happen. I think no reason to name names, but some of it was romantic, some of it was quite frustrated, I guess. But it was definitely. He was definitely the driving force. I don't know if you would agree with that. Like we were all Ringos, and he was our John. Like there was no Paul. It was just a good songwriter with a bunch of Ringos, basically.
Oh man,
that's a Beatles reference, Tom.
But we were way better than the Beatles ever were.
Son of a.
That thing you posted on Twitter, it was like louder now. It was like the Friends thing.
Yeah, posting, which is. I'm glad posting exists because you could be like, oh, yeah, it was a post. I didn't mean for that to be funny.
But it was...
basically, yeah, it's Phoebe and Joey where she's trying to get him to say something, and at the end he says something totally off. But the thing that was, yeah, basically our go-to, how do we explain the show to people is us arguing about whether or not Louder Now or Tell All Your Friends is better. But then Tom, it just ends up reminding me that he doesn't like the Beatles very much. But yeah, anyway, so yeah. Memory 8, you get to pick. A good 4 par high school band, your Erie scene, Hangout Forward Hall, song writing, song recording. Diecaster Studios probably has to make the list.
Ooh, yeah. Let me take it back to our first show.
The Living
ever.
Room Show.
Huh?
The Living Room Show?
Oh, no, that was a mock show.
Mock show.
The
Very
first
different.
real show.
First
so
real.
We played a Penn State Barron Battle of the Bands, which was like the satellite college of Penn State in Erie, where we grew up. Freshman year of high school, I would have been, I think I was 13 and you guys were 14. And there was a lineup of like 12 bands, and they were all like college kids. And we were like these little fucking boys that were just in
We had
there.
to skip school.
Yeah, we got out of school early to play at like 12:30 to literally just the staff.
I don't think we were, I think two bands probably dropped out. And we were the last.
Calling Blue Skies dropped out, which is, I think we
Erie
talked
Legends.
about this.
Erie
Legends. They dropped out. We took the bill. And I remember you saying something like, that's the worst trade deal in history or something.
Oh, really?
Like trading them for us. But they gave us the opening slot.
Their song Fix Instead of Forget. I think they all went to, it was one of those like tragic tales of dudes growing up and going to college and stuff. But yeah, Fix Instead of Forget. Fix Instead of Forget, I guess. I don't know. I've never had to say it out loud on a podcast before. I've just always thought it because there's no one to talk to about Calling Blue Skies. But they were so tremendously good and would draw like hundreds of people at Forward Hall. Like they would just kill in Erie. And they were probably 10 to 20 shows away from jumping on a Warped Tour, like in maybe 40% of the alternate realities had they stuck together. Because it was the right amount of angst at the right time. Give me something the kids will cry for, as our fake Hot Topic exec might say, in this imaginary version of the past we've created on the show. But yeah, so we filled in not probably knowing at all that slot 1's bad. Every battle of the bands,
12:30 on a Tuesday.
every battle of the bands we've ever been in, we were first because we were 14 tops at the start.
But it was cool though, because like we were on a stage, we were playing. I had to play the house drum set, which I just like could not hit. I kept hitting the rims on the toms. I remember being horrified, but we covered all the small things. And I know I've told this story before. We played all the small things, and there were two there was like a barricade, like, and again, no one was there. Like no one was
the
being
two student GAs were there to
Right.
to point us in the direction of the stage, and then they sat there and bobbed their heads.
They sat there and watched us, but we played all the small things. We hit the last note, and they held up this big piece of cardboard that had a number 10 on it. And I thought they were like scoring us, like, you get a 10. Like, that was the perfect performance. And I was like, oh my God, we did it. We got a 10. It took me like years to realize they were telling us we had 10 minutes left.
Like that thing you do, like, hey, you guys are going to the big time.
But I think we probably finished our set with like 8 minutes left because we only had 4 songs and a cover. We we've been a band for 3 months. We're not going to fill a 20-minute set or whatever. So we were just off the stage, and then it was like a half an hour of silence until the next band came on, and we were like, we killed it.
I don't think we had any, it was such a rush though, because bands like, and I always joke that we shared the stage with at X, Y, and Z, but Less Than Jake had been the headlining act at the Battle of the Bands the year before. So it was a pretty
next year. But I Am the Avalanche and Punchline were the headliners the year that we played in 2005, I think.
Yeah, we were, just ecstatic, right? Like, couldn't have been more like, been like, they picked us to go first. I think that means like, like, no, but we were just like,
right? We're the headliners.
To play a college show felt huge as sophomores. Freshmen. Yeah. Yes, because I remember being a freshman on the baseball team, and I'm glad the practice got rained out that day. Because I was worried.
Would not have been there.
I just straight up, no.
That really set the tone for the next 4 years.
Yeah, man.
The day of Pat just being like, can't make it.
What's the Saved by the Bell episode where she does like the uppers to be able to do all the extracurriculars or whatever, and it's like, I think I'm having a brother, or what? I forget the line because I didn't have cable growing up, but there's some famous Saved by the Bell moment. But
there's a Fresh Prince one too with
caffeine pills or something. It's like, hey, don't get pregnant, guys. At the end, where all that cast like gathers to address the studio audience. But I didn't do the drugs, so I just had to not go to certain things. And often it was the band because I really like baseball. But I will say this: I remember we got picked up from out in Edinburgh at the Hangout. There was a Battle of the Bands early on as well, and my parents picked us up in their minivan, which was super punk, obviously. And they were like, "How'd it go?" We were like, "So we placed last." And we had like the score sheet to prove it. We were just like, we were really so starry-eyed that like trying to spin it into a positive. It's like, but this and this and but. I remember my sister brought her friend Katie out, and they were there in the crowd just to be supportive because I think they were out and about and they were going to go to a party in Girard that night or something. But yeah, it was bleak, man.
Well, this was also getting into 2005 by the time we were playing Edinburgh Hangout, and at that time, every band was doing pig squeals. Like that was the scene. We were like this pop rock band in a grindcore city. So we would always play these shows.
Grindcore City, dibs on the album title?
We'd always be the opening pop rock act at a grindcore show. So it was like, man, why aren't people digging our tunes?
Yeah. Well, you guys towards the end eventually do you want that to be Memory 1 or where what's the Memory number 8? Let's go down the list a little more. What's the first best show that like things started actually clicking? Because at some point, it's not like we played a 2 Battle of the Bands and then quit because it didn't go well. It was
VFW with Pick and Exit.
Pick and Exit. That was a good show out in Northeast.
Yeah.
There was a good several dozen, which sounds like small building, but like at a certain point, you get a little following and you get a little notoriety.
Well, yeah. At this point, we had 100 t-shirts made, which were just the worst.
A very bad EP
design
recording
t-shirts.
Wise, but then we went to diecast. At some point we had 4 songs on a CD and a t-shirt available.
Right. So I do want to talk about Diecaster Studios because that came from the first Battle of the Bands. Let's start there.
Memory 7, our first time in a studio.
We were 14 in a recording studio. So when we played the Battle of the Bands, each band that performed got 2 hours of free studio time at a place called Diecaster Studios with a guy named Trevor Hooster.
Pretty good promotion, actually.
Yeah. So we were like, oh my God, a recording studio. So we showed up, just these 14-year-olds, could barely play our instruments. And this guy, Trevor, just loved our tenacity, I guess. And he hooked us. We probably paid for 4 hours of studio time, and we were there an entire weekend, and he was working on mixes.
He must have not had a ton going on. He was just being nice.
He did some work for Train back in the day because Pat Monahan is from Erie, Pennsylvania. But yeah, at that time,
Famously.
So, we recorded in the studio and we were like so thrilled with the EP, and I still have most of the songs.
What were the songs? Name them.
The Girl Next Door.
Yeah,
We're
you
Glad
wrote
Alex-
that. The
yeah.
first song we had was a song you wrote.
I was 12 years old.
Screw It.
Screw It was the fourth song.
Would it have been called something more sweary if we were older? We probably wouldn't have written the song. I think it worked.
Yeah.
Anyway, Screw It,
It was a good
like
song.
Screw It was probably our first smash hit.
We had, yes, that felt like a turning point. It felt more
Zach learned how to, instead of playing, I remember we were in his
Straight power
basement.
chords.
Instead of just straight power chords, he strummed them a bit. And I remember because there was somebody on MySpace that commented on Girl Next Door and was like, whoa, power chords, real original, nice guys. It was like the most seen emo like comment shade thrown. And then like it was the same amount of, even fewer chords, honestly, for this song, but some of them were strummed and there was some distortion. It was basically like only one step up in a songwriting
Right.
sense. And he was like, okay, now this is something I can get behind. It's like, wow, that's all it took. Like internet trolls were so easy back then. It was just like, hey, we listened and made it not that much more complicated.
it's 3 chords the whole time, but one of them had like a root inversion or something on it, but it was still just the same power chord.
Yes, yes. So our songwriting ability did and will always hinge on how much Zach has learned to do on the guitar, I think.
We had We're Glad Alexis Moved Away.
Which was cruel, too mean.
And we had Daughter That Screwed Me Over, which was about, Zach wrote it about my cousin. Remember that song? Daughter That Screwed Me
That was
Over.
a fun song.
I know I shouldn't have gone over.
I liked it.
everything was a little weirdly
I
country.
think
twang.
every pop punk band has that song early in their catalog that has that, you play that note for a long period of time. Yeah. I think it's like 9 frets up on the second string or something. But Blink and Reliant K, I think have examples of that. Doesn't matter. But a lot of uses of the word screw. Again, we were 14, 15 at this point. And 4 songs. Look Out for the Hole.
Look Out for the Hole,
And then
which was a MySpace. It was a warning sign generator. You type in your name and it'll be like, "Don't drink the poison" or something. And I typed it 400 apart and it said, "Look out for the hole." So we just named the EP that. It was a MySpace warning sign.
And then you
generator.
photoshopped pretty well.
No, it wasn't. It was just straight off of Google.
Oh, really?
Or it was
a double-decker London bus in like a sinkhole? I thought for how bad the band name was, you naming it that and photoshopping that or getting it off Google and putting all that together.
I think I made it on Microsoft Word, actually. The
killed
album art.
Killed it.
And somehow we made the worst t-shirt in the world. And we sold 100 of them for $10 a piece.
And we bought?
And yeah. So up to this point, I think you were playing bass through like a 5-watt crate guitar amp that was just going, which, whatever, literal kids. So it's all good. But we played this show at the VFW Fire Hall, which was very...
VFW is separate from our Fire Hall shows, I think.
Yes.
You might be mixing up. This was just...
VFW
VFWs are just
Hall.
VFWs, yeah.
Then there's okay. So we were playing at the VFW.
A lot of Midwesty venues.
Yeah. And we had to pre-sell tickets for a band called Pick and Exit. And I mean, it's basically pay to play, but at that time we were too naive and just stoked to be playing a show.
What was their EP? The 8-Bit Adventure? They had a good song.
The 8-Bit Adventure. They had a really, something Drive.
Yeah. Not Mulholland, obviously, but something, but real good vocalist singer who stood at the piano. I thought they had a cool energy.
Piano power pop.
I've told this story on the show before, but instead of playing there was nobody flashing cards, for example, to say we have 10 minutes left. So we just played 14
we played
songs.
so long.
And there was such
And
a
half
good
were
gathering. We
covers,
played until there was a good gathering waiting for Pick and Exit to play. And
well, we sold 35 or 40 tickets, and we actually got pretty scrappy. You could buy tickets out the door, but Zach's mom was in front of the front door asking people if they need tickets. So then they were buying them from Zach's mom, which then half of the profit came to us rather than buying them at the door where all the profit came to the band. So we were I didn't realize we were actually kind of being shitty about it. But between that and all the shirts we sold, we made $400 that night. I think it was $387. It was a really weird specific
which is
number.
the most, I've checked, this is the most any band has ever made
in a single night
in
at
a single night at a VFW.
when they're 15 years old. So we played like
literal gatekeeping. Zach's mom literally. I'm just kidding.
So we made like a ton of money. I felt like a fucking rock star that day. Like we played Wendy Clear. I think it was our first time covering Wendy Clear. People were singing. We had the fan interaction. We like gave an EP away. My sister brought a ton of friends. We actually wrote a song for our sister's friend whose dad passed away. We performed it for her. She was like in the crowd that night. That was like a turning point in my life of like, yeah, I thought music was the thing I loved. I know it is. Like that was that night. And we took all that money. We bought you, a Behringer 15-inch bass amp that just blew out the lights in my basement. Like it was overpowered for our 5-watt practice.
Yeah. Like, the generators that could keep your house going in the event of this had as much firepower, as much wiring as,
and I do remember you were so stoked about having a bass amp that just fucking rocks so hard. You tried to do the bass over the shoulder thing and you just threw it straight up into the ceiling.
Memory number 6 is definitely the damage I've done to your house, your mom's house in Erie. She doesn't live there anymore, but one of those was just straight up. Didn't even think about it being longer than a guitar, but because that was every music video we watched, and we covered a lot on the show, is like spinning around, jumping off of This is Jackass era, Idiotville. And just, I threw it over my shoulder and it just plunked right through the drywall, like without, didn't even check to see if the tuning was altered, just like picked it back up and kept playing. And just like, what does it matter? Anyway, let's talk about okay, so that's memory 6 is just me throwing a guitar through your wall. The shows are getting better though. It's not just like Battle of the Bands. This is how movies do it. This is what bands are. We were legitimately playing shows at VFW, very Midwest emo scene at this point, right? Would you agree? What's like memory 5? Let's save memory 1 for the farewell show.
Yeah. But which one? Because we definitely had to. There was a different.
Well, let's say memory 1 will be the reunion show. Let's get into the fire hall stuff or the trance nightclub stuff.
Trance nightclub. Let's do that.
Sure. Memory 5. We become the house band for a gay club. So
the guy that recorded our band, Trevor, was in a band called Moss Nova or something.
They're pretty big in Erie.
They brought a decent crowd. Like they were kind of butt rock. They all wore like intense eyeliner and makeup and just rocked. They were a great band.
Did they the ones that won the Battle of the Bands while we were there?
Oh, they may have.
Because there was, to put you in perspective what type of music they played, one of the song that won them the competition was called Breathe. And that kind of says it all, I think.
I think at one point, one of the guitarists brought out like a violin bow and started playing his electric guitar. Like it was very, they were going for something different than us, just playing all the small things.
If Andrew Bird was in Three Doors Down, that's what that band was.
So, well, they were a good band. And we made an impression on him. So they needed a band to open, and they got a bunch of 16-year-olds to open at this gay club, which like rented itself out on off nights, I guess. And they had a
honestly some of our best shows. I didn't know they were rented off on off nights or anything, but it was just honestly they were always packed. I remember having a lot of fun at those shows. I didn't even know that part of town existed. There was like all these bars and stuff. Obviously, we were very young, so that we would not have been exactly bar hopping in Raspberry and 23rd or something.
Well, I do remember, not to put you in the hot seat here, but we played 2 or 3 times, and I think the first time we played, it was like be there at 3:30, and we were just like, okay, we're probably gonna play at like 4 then, but we played at like 7, so we were just there, and I remember waiting around, and you're like, hey guys, I gotta go play a baseball game, so you just left.
No, I remember my dad had tickets to go watch the Cavs in Cleveland, and it was like, I don't know. Yeah, at that point, you're just still a child. So you're like, yeah, my dad's going to drive me to Cleveland today. And I thought I could be done with our show. Like in your teen brain, you're like, yeah, I'll do 2 things today. I'll play a rock show at a gay club. And then I'll travel to Cleveland with my father to watch a professional basketball game, which is like the pretty high octane day for a 17-year-old or 16-year-old. But yeah, at that point, it was just like a comedy of errors, like from a scheduling standpoint, like, oh, the show's tonight. No, we're going. At that point, what do you say? Like, do you call your dad and cancel? Or like,
well, yeah. So you ended up leaving, And
Yes.
we called my sister's friend Ian Bowers, who was like like a classically trained musician, shredded a 5-string bass guitar. He had never heard any of our songs before. He goes on stage and we're playing power chords, right? So he's just watching for Zach's hand placement and just like playing scales around it and like just crushed it. Absolutely crushed it. But the second time we played, you were there and the place was like packed.
I remember that show, probably because I was there. But I remember we let Adam sing that night. He covered Down.
Oh, yeah.
I remember there being shoulder to shoulder. I mean, at this point, we didn't play a worse show than that. Like the first two rock or Battle of the Bands were bad, but I would say the back 2/3 of our high school band playing career was like, to honestly, some pretty big rooms. Because we opened for Punchline at one point, or you guys did. That was after I had left the band.
No, that was the. Oh my God! The AKAs,
because that was a different VFW out on a different part of Erie County, out in Fort LaBeouf or Wattsburg.
No, we played to like over. They sold 350 tickets that night, and there were definitely friends of friends that snuck in. There were over 400 people there.
Yeah,
and that was our first farewell show. Hey everybody, I hope you are enjoying the 200th episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. It was so great being together, and it really meant a lot to be in the same room for this episode. But I want to quickly give a shout out to our Patreon supporters, the people in the Emo Elder tier, our Council of Elders. We've got Andre Provost, Johnny Leftwich, and Jason Carey. Guys, thank you so much for supporting the show, and thank you so much to every single person in our Patreon and everyone that hits us up on Twitter. It's the best part of doing this show, and it really means the world that you all are interested in what we're doing. Hopefully we have a ton more fun over the next 200. If you'd like to join the Patreon and support this podcast, you can head over to patreon.com/reminiscent, take a look at the 3 tiers we have available, and check out everything that we offer. And at the time of publishing this episode, we have put up our November video AMA in the Patreon. You can check that out. You can also head to the show notes and check out our top 200 songs of all time playlist on Spotify in the show notes at reminiscentpodcast.com/episode/200. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you all, and back to the show.
Would you say as a drummer, as a performer from the Baron show, clicking the rims and stuff, did you get better on stage? Like, because at that point, like, we're allowed to, it's just you and me, whatever. At that point, we are legitimately playing better, bigger, better shows, kind of like grinding it out, not like getting our 10,000 hours or anything, like how to get your 10,000 hours in a gay club. Like, that's not really, it was just fun that we got that opportunity. And it was like, hey, this is not a bad Battle of the Bands anymore. This is just people that are welcoming us in. Mm-hmm. We get to play better shows. Now we're talking around the scene. We're getting into better VFWs. We're going out to Northeast, traveling the county a little bit, going out to Waterford. Did you feel more comfortable on stage? Because I think the shows just did get better. I don't know if you feel the same way. Did you get more comfortable? Talk about the growth for you.
I don't think I had like crippling anxiety ever at any point. I've definitely done a few shows like solo acoustic where I would like start to like get nervous sweats and feel like I was running a fever. I never had that playing drums, mostly because I was in the back. It did get better over time because by the time we finished, there were 3 drummers in the area that were playing pop punk rock. And it was like me, Josh Seymour, and Jessica Tella. And I remember being at like in Eaton Park one day, which is what we did most weekends. We'd stay up for midnight breakfast buffet at Eaton Park and drink a ton of coffee. And someone was like, yeah, like, you know, the 3 Erie drummers, and they like included me as one of them. And it gave me this huge boost of confidence. I knew that I was definitely the worst of the 3 because I did not just like sit down and practice like the other 2 did. But that gave me enough confidence to like go up there and just like, I'm going to make some mistakes, but it's going to be fun. And like, we write good music. It definitely got easier over time, but I never felt too horrible about it. I mean, what about you? Like, because I know that your whole thing, even to this day, is like, I never really knew the songs or how to play bass. Like, was it different for you kind of going into that over time?
I always like the writing more.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that when we were at the cabin the other week, like Zach and I sitting down, or you and Zach sitting down and really practicing and writing stuff out was probably my favorite part. To be honest, where that joke stemmed from, and we get older and we elaborate and we have better fun, but really most of it was just us having a good time in my mind. But
Right.
there was one Dan Majeski birthday party where
Oh my God.
Zach was like, hey, let's play Failure by Design. And I wasn't going to learn Failure by Design in the next 10 minutes. I was still learning the bass. There were shows where we were in step, we were a band, we were playing, and I enjoyed that very much. And I think when we did the quote unquote reunion show at the Summit, which was like this mega church's mega
Like
venue.
$5 million
Yeah.
youth center. Yeah.
And at that point, we had played the songs enough where we could just step back into it. And, I was just being silly. We were in high school. It was fart punky, probably on my bed. You guys had probably grown up more than I had at that point. But I thought it was a lot of fun. But what I enjoyed the most was, and even when we went back to DC to re-record a lot of stuff, was the writing.
Yeah.
Because the stage stuff was mostly like, we were all trying to find our own, finding excuses for Adam to sing, finding excuses for you to sing vocals. But really, what I should have done was been there, two, been by the drums and laid down a good solid bass line for Adam to play very good riffs and for Zach to show off his vocals and stage presence. So that was something like from a band perspective, we weren't trying to figure out who we were. We were just trying to get better shows and be goofy and have fun and be silly. I don't know. So to answer your question, I think I answered a different question, but I guess, enjoyed the writing and the practicing and being around each other and trying to make the music and try to compose or what do you call that? Arrange?
Yeah.
The arranging and everything was probably what I enjoyed the most. But yeah, high school happened, I guess, to every high school garage band. Like everybody used to be in a band pretty much. And so, but ours just happened to have more stories and have played more shows than the average, I'd assume.
Yeah. I mean,
But yeah, most of the forgetting song stuff was like, there's no reason not to joke about it because it happened all the time and it did hamstring you. And that's why there was a mutual parting. Basically like, yeah, no, baseball season, senior year, like it's important to me to make, like, this is more important to me. And I should have admitted that months ago. And you guys found a bass player and played a ton of great shows.
I think we only played 2 with him and it was fine. Okay. So before I say that, the thing that I loved the most was just like hanging out with you guys. Cause we even like thinking about my band later on, The Good Fight, it was like, we're going to rehearse, we're going to practice. But with Four and Apart, it was like, let's just jam. Let's just make music. Like, let's play the songs we always do. We never even went back. It's like, you know what, guys, let's tighten this up. It was just like, let's play it again. I love this song. Like it was so
and we did like when we
carefree.
wrote Penn State '08 and we were writing the parts for Adam and we were like, okay, what if the outro kind of built, we was always very fun. And I thought we had a knack for it in terms of, we never talked a ton. Sometimes we would talk about what we would look like on stage or what we would do, but be like, that's hokey. Who cares?
Yeah.
And we just let all of us do whatever the 4 of us wanted,
Right.
which was chaotic and fun. But it's interesting to kind of go over that because it's like there was no real concerted effort, like you said, to tighten it up. It was just we were around each other anyway.
Yeah, we were just having a ton of fun. And to me, just like playing music in my basement was the entire experience. Like, sure, the shows were fun, but like when I think about that time, it was just like, you'd be in the basement playing bass and then I'd see Zach's shoes come down the stairs. Like, Zach's here!
Yeah.
And then like Adam would come in and we'd always try to make him feel as uncomfortable as we could just because he was so introverted and shy.
Well, when we recorded some of the some of the DIY stuff with some bad examples early,
Oh, yeah.
we would all try singing and we were all, Zach was good. I was bad. I mean, obviously.
I thought you were actually pretty good.
Well, but that was the thing is though, like it was the first time hearing ourselves being
Yeah.
recorded because technology was coming up a little more.
Yeah.
So, or like, you know what I mean? Like we weren't like growing up podcasting out of the womb or anything. So it's just like, I'm so comfortable with the way my voice sounds. We were like, hey, try to
Right.
scream sing. And then you do. And it's like, this is going to be embarrassing for you for a long time. Like we will keep this in our iTunes library forever. So stuff like that was legitimately just like hearing it for the first time and having fun with it. Like, oh my God. Some of it was fun. Some of it was embarrassing, but mostly it was just, yes, I'm sure everybody says this about whether it's an athletic pursuit or an artistic pursuit. It's like, oh, what if we, but it all culminated to a pretty exciting, I don't know if we just notched off, let's call, because sometimes it would just be you and me. I had fun writing with you and doing the video stuff, and I had fun writing with Zach because we wrote Screw It together in his basement and stuff. And I always thought there was a mix of I always thought there was a good give and take where we understood each other, or we all did.
Absolutely,
really.
yeah.
Even at the cabin the other weekend, it was just kind of like, hey, what? And you would chime in. And it was just kind of like, that's the most fun part. But really, it was weird when you came to Athens for Halloween when we were in college, even just playing acoustic in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, guitar is such an intimate thing where in high school, I was just trying to do, I think we all were trying to like, you're trying to learn about yourself. You're trying to do a lot of things, but like we were just in your basement having a great time all the time. And none of us, maybe you and Zach, but I guess I wasn't this way where it's like this romantic self-prescribed or self journey through the instrument where you're finding yourself through like lonely days where you're just practicing and practicing and practicing. Like it should have been you and me with a bass and a drum, making sure we laid it down if we were actually serious about it. But I guess I was less than you guys for sure. But it was only just like an expression of fun. It was like Meow Wolf in Santa Fe, or like some of these like art, like the Newfound Glory House or something. It was just like, what are we having for breakfast? Pancakes. Yay! Like spend 4 hours on pancakes when 3 of those hours could have been on practicing a new song or something. You know what I mean? Like, So it was a bunch of teenagers hanging out for the most part. And I thought you guys had played more shows after I left, honestly. Like, I thought I was.
It was only a couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's like, especially having a band after that where we took it way more seriously and we like, let's play the song at half speed, make sure everyone's playing the same rhythm. Like there was a sense of pride that like, oh, we got this down, but it was never as fun because we turned it into like work to be the best local band rather than like, let's have fun with our friends. And like after being in the Good Fight, it was just such a different kind of fun. Like the Good Fight felt like there was like this qualitative value to it where like it's only fun if we did as well as we expected to after how much we practiced. And you almost never do as well as you think you're going to do in a performance. The crowd's never as big as you're hoping for. But with 400 Part, we were together, and that's like the only thing that mattered. And that's what made it fun, was just like the time together. We made so many fucking weird memories. Like we needed to fix a guitar or something. We didn't have a Phillips head screwdriver. So we were walking to the dollar store and you were like, I'm hungry. So we put an entire bowl of cereal into like this massive plastic bowl with like half a gallon of milk. And we walked like half a mile carrying this like 5-pound bowl of cereal, taking turns eating from the same spoon, and then bought a screwdriver and then came back and fixed the guitar. And like, that has nothing to do with the music we were making, but it was like surrounding that time. And like, that's kind of the hardest part for me. The hardest thing to grapple with growing up has been like, there has to be a reason to hang out with someone. Like, I'm really grateful we have like the time together that we do, but it was like, because you're helping me move. It wasn't just like, it's Thursday, I'm not doing anything.
Well, you also don't live in Colorado anymore.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, but it's just like, we live so close to each other. I don't know how our parents gave us as many rides back and forth as they did. That kind of blows my mind how cool they were about us.
Sometimes we would walk.
The 7 miles
to each other's through the snow. It was not a good day. We'll call that memory number 3, but not explain it.
So, I mean, just we had so many like, this is why I love doing the podcast so much, because like so much of our lives centered around music, but it wasn't necessarily about the music itself. It was just like the avatar for like the fun that we were having. And that's what this show is. Like, we're talking about music, but just barely. Like, we're talking about our lives.
Yeah, know? I would say, that's been a fun equilibrium to come to as we do the show. But even you and Zach had like an acoustic project called The Truce, which is still my favorite band name you guys have come up with.
It was a lot of fun.
Then Zach was in Tyrannic Fusion while in college, but they were still in college. Like, they were kind of reaching the limits of the Erie scene where they would play like the Metropolitan on Halloween night.
Yeah,
which is like a big thrashy, screamy, blood on your shirt, like nice, screamy techno type show
with auto-tune choruses.
Yeah, back like late Attack era scene stuff, 09, maybe even 2010.
Right. Yeah.
But at that point, for them, it was they were also still going to college. It wasn't about like, we got to get to Pittsburgh or we got to get to Cleveland or Buffalo, or like we got to go play these shows and try to hop onto a tour somewhere. Because like the Mayday Parade dudes, they just hung out they would follow Warped Tour around in the parking lot, and that's all they wanted. Like, there was no goal. Even reaching the edges of the Erie scene, there's kind of a limit to the glamour. Like, for us, when it stayed fun, it was like, let's just play anywhere, literally anywhere. And we did. And anyone who would accept us, that was a very beautiful thing. And I guess I guess at some point, I guess we could wrap it up and talk about the final show at some point here. But yeah, 200 episodes later, it's nice to revisit scene etiquette and all the goofy, silly things that kind of you run into along the way, as simple as not having a car to go get a screwdriver for a thing, or trying Pete Wentz's bass flip or whatever, and then just make damaging property. And trying to mimic certain things, and having the Gives You Hell video drop and being like, you guys had probably passed on All American Rejects by that point, but I was like, I'm telling you, this is good. This video is great. This song is good. This band is still good. And just like having what felt like knockdown, drag out conversations about like, no, we need to talk about Gives You Hell for the rest of the day. And now we do that. But yeah. So I don't know if you want to, if you have I'll give you the final two memories.
Yeah. I mean, we had two final shows. So we had,
I think we jumped from 7 to 2, but that's fine.
We had a final show, then we had a reunion show / final show. Our final show was at that fire hall with like 400 people. Sound City Saints from Pittsburgh played. The AKAs.
The AKAs, it wasn't, you're right.
Yeah. And Still Frame Sky. And like we were on this bill.
That's a
like,
good bill.
It was a coveted show. And we opened, but I have a video from my Motorola Razr. My friend Ryan lifted up his shirt in the middle of the video, which I thought was so funny at the time. Oh, nipples. But like it looked like a sea of people. This entire fire hall was, packed all the way to the back. And they were there. Usually, like if we were playing
this
a
is
show,
a VFW as well. I want to get into your brain and wonder how many fire halls you think are there in the U.S. in general. How many of these buildings? What percentage of buildings in the world are fire halls for you?
At least 4%. At least. Okay. Well, a VFW.
We went to high school. It was a fire hall.
Right? Fire Hall Academy, right?
Went home. Tom's mom's fire hall was where we ate cereal.
Such an asshole.
The World of Music fire hall was where we got. Sorry, I'll stop. That was the last bad example.
Okay. Well, anyways, what was I saying? Okay, yeah. So we're playing in this fucking fire hall, and just usually when we were playing shows at another fire hall, there'd be people that would show up 2 hours after we played because no one was there for the opener. But there was like people there for us, and people were like, I think it might have been the first show we've ever played where there was like a pit, like people were moving. Mm-hmm. People have said they've enjoyed our music, but people have never like moved to it. And that seems like a whole new level of validity or something. And we played for a very long time. You filmed the whole thing and put it on like a school computer, and then it got destroyed somehow. There
was a lot of good. We made a lot of like episodes of a office knockoff called The Classroom that got deleted from there too. Mm. There's a lot of stuff we had filmed, a lot of like PSAs for the morning announcements and stuff. That was like the YouTube era Lonely Island wannabe. Like, we were just doing everything, trying to be creative, making all sorts of things. I will say this, the actual Fire Hall show was fun for me because everyone in the neighborhood who joked about the double bogey on the 9th stuff, like went to the show and had a great time. Like we brought some Ohio bands in, like they cleared out the fire trucks, and it was just, the acoustics were probably horrible and the ground was still kind of wet, weirdly. Like it was just in a garage, but everyone was there to just thrash and throw down. So this is the show that we hosted. Yeah, it was like on our home turf. And coming off that show, I thought we were going to like, let's do this all the time. This is amazing. Yeah. It was a one-time thing, but it was fantastic. We did it twice. I have pictures from that show. Yeah. I might have to reactivate my Facebook, but because stuff like that reminds me, like, no, yeah, like it was the four of us for a lot longer than I think. It's fun to fall back on the jokes as they've become known and everything, but like, yeah, other than Dan Majeski's birthday party, like there was a run there where we were doing it. We went for it. Yeah. And to say it wasn't a fire hall, it was literally a garage for fire trucks because Zach's neighbor. Now I'm wondering if there's are any fire halls. What is a fire hall? Well, Zach's neighbor was like a fireman or something, right? Fire chief, yeah. It's like a volunteer thing. Some people had lived there. There's like a little place to eat and they had the poles and where the trucks were. Is it the hall where the trucks are? Because they cleared the trucks out for us to play. They moved the trucks out. They cleaned the floors for us and they let us put on a show in the garage. They parked the fire trucks at like a gas station across the street and they just let us have a show for free. They let us sell tickets and keep 100% of the money. Like they were just excited to see young people doing something like productive, creative. Also, our town was stuck in the 1950s where like Reagan era Just Say No Club stuff in like Biddy League basketball. If you Google Biddy League, it's like a 40s era intramural program.
Oh, wow.
So like everything was still how it was when like Wesleyville and Lawrence Park merged and became Iroquois High School. Roll on Big I era. Like everyone, it's like, yeah, like legit. Like there's probably like the Just Say No Club. You're like, oh yeah, remember the 80s? Like no, like deep into the 2000s. Did we have a Just Say No Club where you would bring a canned soup to go to a dance in 5th grade and stuff like that?
My God.
But yeah, anything to keep us off the streets, I guess.
Right. And we sold, again, we paid a band from Ohio, like send them a message on MySpace. We'll pay you $100 if you can come to the show. Signal Home was the name of the band. And they came. Like we had bands from out of town come in. We sold tickets. We
that
paid
was
out
weird
bands.
to see them pull up in like their bad van and be
With,
like,
like,
yeah,
the trailer
we're
and
here to
stuff.
play songs. And they did. And it was
everyone
great.
had just had a really fucking good time. And it was like, again, the show playing was fun, but it was more like the environment of like, I know I've mentioned it before, like I had you in my high school who was my friend, but like the music friends that I had were from different schools. So like I'd only see them at shows. So it wasn't necessarily performing, but it was being in that place where those friends were and being able to like put on the show ourselves.
Eaton Park Night School.
It was really something else, man. And it was, I think, like probably some of the earliest entrepreneurial stuff I encountered where I realized like making your own money is crazy.
Yeah, you were, to your credit, I mean, I think you probably learned a lot about yourself just on MySpace, not like wheeling and dealing, making deals, but sending messages, getting us out. I mean, like you were running a business component of the whole operation solo pretty much. I mean, Zach was probably right there at your shoulder maybe.
Right.
But you were kind of solo, the manager as well in a lot of
I loved it. And that's kind of what I did for the Good Fight too. And that was my favorite part, like booking shows and like, you know, trying to email community managers to see if we can get like a permit to film a music video in this place or something. Like I love that stuff, like kind of the administration work of a band. I really enjoyed, and I feel like I
now
learned,
you're an administrator yourself.
I really feel like I learned so much about myself, about like how to be a friend, what it is to be a friend through that, like through the, not facade, but like this experiment of being in a band. And it's just like, I still have yet to experience anything like that in my life, any kind of friendship like that. And, you know, the whole like forged in the fire thing, but like I've made some really good friends along the way, but none even nearly as good as you or Zach. And it's because of the experiences we had together because we were in a band. And I think that's why a lot of the music we talk about on the show like means so much to us, because it was so crucial to our development as individuals and as friends.
Yeah, I think technically we slid a Fire Hall show memory in there, which makes up for one of the numbers we skipped. There was the show with the AKAs at the Fort LaBeouf VFW, Waterford VFW, and then the reunion, and will be one, but we kind of already talked about it. A lot of friends from high school came to that mega churches thing with the great acoustics, and we pretty much just ran through the stuff that our high school friends knew. And there was probably a couple dozen. Then other band, which are really good friends, they changed the name a bunch of times, but they were either Halfway Home or Above the Altar or a third name, I'm not sure. But they covered Stacy's Mom at that show. It was super fun. We were going to cover Paper Planes by MIA.
And they just said no.
Yeah, the church was like, we're allowed to say no and we're going to say no. And what was weird about that is they used to have intense, Attack Attack played there.
Yeah.
And they had crazy throwdowns.
Yeah.
But they had built the auditorium to be like Shakespeare in the Park type stuff. So there was like armrests for the front row that like, I remember being like, I'm going to join in that pit. Someone's going to I'm going to like $1 Million Baby into one of these freaking armrests. And
bad design. Yeah.
Anyway, it was a super fun show. And hanging out with, again, kind of to wrap this up in this, just hanging out, being around each other. Yeah. And it was nice.
Yeah. Well, I've got photos on the website. We'll put them in the show notes.
You can play Penn State 08 on to close it out. I know you're going to be self-conscious about the mix. But
I was like 22, like this sounds so good. Maybe we'll play an extended version. I don't know. But I love that song. I'm super proud of like what we did.
You should play My Cat Eats Porridge by... That's good.
That's a really.
You should
good
play
song.
all of them, dude. Play the EP.
Just 40 minutes of music.
Play Screw It. Just play.
Yeah, we'll put links to all that stuff up there.
Tom's sound. If you find Tom's SoundCloud, you can unlock the keys to his world. Anyway, thanks for being here. We had recorded 20 minutes of nonsense, kind of knocking off the rust after not recording for a little while because we had backlogged so many.
Oof.
So thanks for being here. And we are looking forward to a month of holiday stuff, maybe catching up on some housekeeping, but then hopefully we'll put a good 4 episodes together in January and hit the ground running because Tom will be moved in by that point, like officially with his whole setup. And Tom keeps checking the clock, so I think we've run far over.
I'm making sure it's still recording.
Gotcha. Well, I love you, man, and it's nice to be back in the saddle. And to all the Remen neckties out there.
Yep. Oh man. Well, episode 200 feels incredible. The 4-year anniversary. Didn't think it would last this long. By all means, it should not have for how the show started, but it's grown a lot. And again, I know we kind of say it every week. The crazy thing is just like hearing other people's memories of like where they were when they heard these songs or whatever. I'm sure there's quite a few listeners out there who had the high school bands. Let us know what your band's name was, favorite show, whatever. Any of those
Can
memories.
You do worse than Foreigner Part? Like, did you have a more embarrassing high school garage band name? All right, man.
All right. Well, love you all. Love you, dude. And we're going to
love you.
Sit in this room for another 4 hours and crush some more episodes.
That's right. On to the post show.
On to the post show. All right, everybody. There it is, episode 200. Thank you all so much for being here. I can't believe we made it this far. But hell, let's see if we can make it to 400. It really means the world that you all are here. You can check out our Patreon again at patreon.com/reminiscent. But if nothing else, please hit us up on Twitter @_reminiscentfm. It's the most fun part of doing the show is talking to you all. Thank you so much. We love you all. We'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.
It's raining now, like cats and dogs, and I'm sure I can beat all this adversity. Settle down, take a breath and exhale. I will start to lose my focus, then I'll never find out what you did. You sneak around the bedroom and try not to wake me. You know I'm not asleep, way too loud. The covers are slipping, the trees are still dripping from the rain that washed away all your sins. Oh, I'm so confused. Have I just been used for my sex appeal? This shit can't be real. Can I walk this one off, or am I stuck in the long run? Oh, calm myself down right now. I'm too scared, I don't even know how to get back in the game. Should I feel so ashamed? I guess I'll never find out. Now, my headache's going away, and I'm starting to think what you put in my drink last night was something that impaired all my thoughts and my feelings. I'll never go out again, but who knew that night would change my life forever? I slipped up and made a bad choice, and now I will regret it forever. I'm so confused. Have I just been used for my sex appeal? This shit can't be real. Can I walk this one off, or am I stuck in the long run? Whoa, calm myself down right now. But I'm just scared I don't even know how to get back in the game. Should I feel so ashamed? I guess I'll never find out. I'm so confused. Have I just been used for my sex appeal? This shit can't be real. Can I walk this one off, or am I stuck in the long run? calm myself down right now. But I'm just scared, I don't even know how to get back in the game. Should I feel so shame?